Okay, welcome to Produce Like a Pro. My name's Steve Calm. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go ahead and talk about the most important gear in your studio. Now, this is a big one. A lot of people like wondering, what's the one people, how do I get going? How do I get started? What do I do? What's the most important gear? And so I've broken down my top 4 or 5 important things of what is the most important gear. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Number one, if you are a singer, it is your microphone. And now, this is a mic drop here. A lot of people might be like, well, I don't know. Or some people might be like, well, and I'm going to explain why I say this. And again, there's many different opinions out there. But if you're following me, these are definitely the ways that I've found success. If you're a singer, you've got to have a good microphone. That's really important. Now, if you play acoustic guitar, you got to have a good microphone. So it's not just a singer. No, maybe you're a violin player, string players. Anything that is an acoustic instrument, you want to have a good microphone. And the reason I say this is because you could have $1 million instrument and a $200 microphone, and you're not going to capture all of those sound waves, all those samples. You're not going to capture everything. You think about like a camera, like if you're like taking a photo and it only takes like 5 megapixels camera. I think I actually have a camera that still in one of my in one of my boxes that's I think 3.2 megapixels, and that is just not going to come out. If you in the real world, there's like I don't know how many millions of colors, or if you could even talk about megapixels, but in real life, it's just real. It's just like millions and millions, billions of colors, and so what we can capture that with technology now. I think I saw the other day. It's like a 20 megapixel camera, and so there's many different ways. But in saying that, with your music, with your voice, you got a $1 billion voice, and you're trying to capture as much as you possibly can. Well, the cheaper the mic, you're not going to be able to capture all of the details of your voice, and so you're kind of like almost like you're talking like this or singing like this, and you're just not going to get the clarity through. So that's why I really feel like if you're like, hey, I want to upgrade my studio, or maybe you're like, where do I got a budget. What do I spend the most money on? Which is the most important part? I always think if you're a singer, invest in a microphone. Now, that brings up another question. Well, even if you're a guitarist, it's the same kind of thing. Anything when you're talking about a microphone, you do get what you pay for. Now, if you can get a good used one that's not damaged or anything, then you're going to save some money. So that's one way to save it. But anything around the $1,000 mark, now you're getting into pro. And so knowing that if you spend a $50 on a microphone, and we're talking about brand new prices. So let's say brand new prices. If you spend $50 on a brand new microphone, I hate to say it, but it's not going to sound very good. And so if you spend 250, you're going to be getting better. Yes. Are you going to be as good as maybe a $400 or $500 one? No. But then when you get up to that $1,000 mark, we're talking anywhere between 900 to 11, 12, somewhere around there. You're getting into the professional world, and you're really going to start capturing all of the details of your voice. And the microphones get more sensitive. The microphones get a little bit more clear, and they get a little bit more, they pick up more. And so it's a big detail. As an example, I'll tell you my story. I think I started on any microphone I could because I didn't know these rules here on or these guidance. I think I started on a SM57, which is a great standard mic, and it worked well for a little while. And then I upgraded it to I went the route of getting used ones, so I could save some money because I wasn't able to afford $1,000 microphone. I wasn't earning any income from my royalties or music or anything. So I got a mic. I'll just tell you, you can look them up if you want. I don't think you can get them anymore, but it was a 219, a Mark 219 Octava modded by William Jolly. Actually, I think it's Michael Jolly, but it was a microphone that was made to sound like a really pro one. And then, that was like 350, I think. And then, and there was a couple of little microphones in between. But I basically worked my way up. And then I got my first professional one was a Neumann TLM 103, which was really, really pro. It was great. I really, really liked that. And I think I got it used for $750. And a lot of those ones are out there. That's a great microphone if you're not quite, if you don't know where to start. It's all around, great on acoustic guitars, great on any acoustic instrument, great on vocals, a great place to start. Again, I think new they might be about 1,000 or 1,100 as of today, and but that was a great microphone. And then of course, I just kept upgrading. The one over here I got here is a $3,500 Manley reference, and another great microphone that I love is the Neumann 87. Those are really, really cool. U87. That's probably one of my favorite mics at the moment. I'm using this one at the moment because it's got a set up. It's set up, so I'm using it. But yeah, the Neumann's good. But I don't want to get lost in the gear here. But I just want to, coming back to the main point, is if you're a singer, your microphone is one of the most important gears. Let's go to number 2. Your room. The noise and the reflection is very, very, very important to control those. Now, it doesn't matter how good you sing, it doesn't matter how good your microphone is. If you have fan noise, like maybe the computer fan noise is going, or if you have air conditioner going, or there's sirens, or there's dogs barking next door, or something like that, and you're trying to record, it's going to ruin it. It doesn't matter how good it is. One of my students sent me a song once, and I could hear a chain kind of rattle every like 3 or 4 times in the song. I said, it sounds like the dog is rattling a chain or something in the background, and he said, yeah, that's right. I wasn't sure if that was going to capture. I could hear it, and that, and it was like it wasn't in time or anything. It could be a cool kind of thing if it was in time, but so I told him you'll have to re-record those parts, or change the dog's chain to something different, or work out a way to to do it, because you can hear that stuff. And it doesn't matter how good your microphone is, doesn't matter how good your voice is or anything. If there's noise in the track, it's ruined. That's not what you wanted to capture. So making sure your room is noise free, and then also the reflections. If you're singing really loud, or if you're playing an instrument really, really loud, the room is going to come into effect. And right where you are, if you can, as you're watching this, go ahead and push pause and clap really loud, and you can hear the room, and then go into another room, or later on go into another room and clap, and then go into the bathroom and clap. You're going to hear it bouncing everywhere. Now the problem with the bathrooms are there's hard surfaces. You got tile usually in there, and there's no couches or or anything to, probably not, like I know there's no couches for me, and so there's nothing to absorb the sound. There's no sound absorbers. It's lots of hard surfaces and flat surfaces. A lot of things would kind of echo and bounce around, so you can kind of hear the difference. So if you go into your studio, making sure that you can kind of really kind of absorb those sounds. Around in my studio here, I have sound absorbers, with Rockwool, and they're all 4 inch, sorry, to really capture some of the low end. But you got to make sure that there's not too much reflections. As I said before, the louder you sing, the more the room's going to come into play. The softer you're doing something, or the quieter something is, the less the room comes into play. So just keeping that in mind. If you're doing a song and it's like it's going to be a loud one, and you got to play it like at 110%, you got to turn up those amps to 11. Then if that's the case, then the room is really going to come into play. And so just knowing that. But that's great. All right, let's go to number 3. Your audio interface. Now, your audio interface is how you convert that microphone signal into a digital frequency, and then that goes to your computer, and you play around with it, and then usually you'll send it back into your audio interface, and that's where it converts into analog for your speakers or for your headphones, so you can kind of play back. Now, an audio interface, you might know it is that, but it's actually also called a converter, because it converts analog to digital, then it goes digital to analog. And so you might need to rewind that again, but I always talk about audio interfaces as converters, because if you don't have a good converter, if you get the cheapest converter, then it's not going to convert all of the little bits, it's not going to convert everything. You think about it like you sing on you have a wonderful voice, you capture on an amazing microphone, and it goes down all that cable all the way to the interface, but then the interface doesn't capture everything, then that's a bottleneck right there, and then it converts what it does. Maybe it's only converting half of the stuff, and it converts it to digital, goes to the computer, and then you're playing around with something that's not even the full thing. So upgrading your audio interface is pretty key to your setup. And but you got to start with where you're at, and again, these are kind of like my golden rule ones. If you don't have a good microphone, then as I said before, that's a big deal. Now, if you're recording stuff in the box, you can bypass a lot of this. This is cool. If you're using virtual instruments or doing a lot of EDM stuff, well, the microphone doesn't really matter, does it? It's not. You can spend more money on your plugins. You can spend more money on your virtual instruments. So that's a really cool thing. And so let's just jump into the fourth one, which is an interesting one. Go look in the mirror. You are the most important gear in your studio. And what I mean by this is, constantly educating yourself, constantly learning, constantly listening. And that's what you're doing now. You're learning. You're on this journey. There's no way you would have played this video if you weren't already trying to invest in yourself, trying to learn, trying to get better at all of this. And so that's a big key. But just remember that's a big thing to remember, that you just constantly keep learning and learning new techniques, learning new things to do. It's not always going to be the same. That's one thing that we can bet on, or we know, is there's going to be change. That's the only constant thing is change. I forgot whose quote that is, but yeah. So if put it in the comments, because I'm totally spacing on that one. But in saying that, there's going to be change. There's going to be different genres come around. There's going to be different flavors. There are going to be different ways to do things. Shortcuts. AI is coming in with new tools. Many different ways. So keeping open and keeping learning is a big key. And you're already here, so I'm not going to harper on this one. So awesome, guys. So hopefully these 4 keys have really helped you kind of like get inside my mindset. And this is the kind of the process, or these are the kind of things that I think, and this has helped me get my success. And now, if you want to have access to the complete Produce Like a Pro course, then I've put a link down in the comment section, in the description section. And check it out. I'm running a sale at the moment, but it's an amazing course where I talk about all of this stuff. I go through all of the stuff that helped me get thousands and thousands and thousands, tens and tens of thousands of placements on film and TV shows. Just so much success, and it's just amazing. I've helped my students do it as well. Some of my placements have been on The Big Bang Theory, commercials like Honda, AAA, Circle K, Subway, Nokia, Ollie Dog Food, many songs on The Young and the Restless. As of today's date, I think it's about 350 songs on that show, and many more placements on film and TV. But these are the techniques I do every day to make great songs, and to get the songs to that level where they sound professional. That's what we want. And so if you're watching this video, you want your stuff to be professional. You want to get yourself to that level. And so I want to help you. I want to mentor you. I want to show you. I want to teach you the ways, and the ways that I've done it, and so that you have a head start. Sometimes you just need somebody in your corner. Sometimes you just need someone to follow, and that this path ends in success. It's not just a book that you're reading. This is a successful path, and if you follow it, sometimes even just following it and being like, okay, well, I'll trust the signs. If you think about it, if you ever go on a hike or something, you're trusting those signs. The sign says 1 mile loop or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, well, I'm trusting the sign that this is, and you don't really question that it might go this way, it might go that way, and that you have to go back that way, but why are you here, and you don't ask. You might be in the back of your mind, but you're trusting the whole process. So I'm telling you, come on over and check it out and trust the process. So awesome, guys. I'm gonna let you go, but have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you learn a few things out of this one today. All right, later.